Hi crafters, in this video I'm going to create more cards using the products from my latest elegant bathroom collection. This collection is meant for scene building, but there is much more than you can do with it. For instance, today I'm going to create a couple of really quick, clean and simple cards. Here I have prepared the card base. This one is A2 size, 4¼ by 5½ inches, and I'm going to use the dies from the Vanity die set. This set contains a number of larger dies like the furniture dies, and I'm going to set those ones aside and I'm going to work with just the smaller ones. So I'm going to need that mirror frame plus a number of really small dies that are some perfume bottles, vases, mirrors, fans, etc. I have also pre-cut a panel that is just slightly smaller than my card base, and this way I will have a really thin border all around, and this is going to be my background. Now I'm going to die cut all the small images, so I'm simply placing them onto a piece of white cardstock, the same one that I used for the card base, and I'm going to die cut them all at one go. I will also be die cutting the mirror frame out of gold mirror cardstock. One more die that I'm going to use is from the nested rectangles set. Basically, I need just a strip of cardstock. You can simply use a paper trimmer to create this one. Here I have all the elements die cut, and they will be enough to create the colorful background as well as the focal image. At this point, I thought that the black would work better with this card, so I've die cut the mirror frame as well as the strip of cardstock one more time out of black cardstock. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and stick down all the small little pieces onto my pink background. I'm using the liquid adhesive here, but you can simply die cut all the images out of the sticker paper if you have one. The mirror image is supposed to be somewhere in the center of my card, so now I'm just making sure that all the small images will be nicely located around it. So basically now I'm using the small images as the background pattern and not as the accents in the scene. When all the little die cuts are attached, I'm going to flip over the background and use my scissors to trim off all the excess. Now all I have to do is to attach my patterned background onto the card base, so I'm applying some liquid glue at the wrong side and then I'm sticking it down. To create the mirror itself, I'm going to use a scrap piece of that shiny holographic cardstock. I'm placing my frame over the piece of cardstock and then I'm using an awl to trace the outline. You can also use a pencil. As I'm cutting out this oval with the scissors, I'm making sure I'm leaving a thin border all around the traced line, and this way I'll be able to attach it behind the frame. Then I'm going to apply a thin line of glue around the oval frame at the inner side, and then I'm sticking it down over the piece of mirror cardstock. Then I'm going to apply some double-sided tape at the wrong side of the frame, and this way I can raise the image above the background a little bit. Then I'm just peeling off the liner and attaching the mirror onto my card. At this point you can leave this project as is, but I have decided to add a sentiment as well. And this is exactly what I need that strip of cardstock for. But instead of stamping or die cutting the sentiment, I'm going to emboss it. I'll be using the sentiment embossing folder also from the new release. It actually is meant to create a background, but it works for individual sentiments just as fine. I'm placing the strip of cardstock into the folder, and since you can see through it, you know exactly where you are placing it. I'm using a couple of pieces of washi tape and I'm taping this strip of cardstock from behind right into the folder like this. This way it's not going to move as I'm sending it through the machine. This way we get nice deep embossing, and this sentiment strip looks a lot like a metal plate. Then I'm just using the scissors to trim down the sentiment strip to the size of the sentiment. There's one more touch I'd like to add to my sentiment plate, and that is applying some ink. I'm using the white pigment ink, and I'm applying it with a little sponge dauber, and this way my saying is going to stand out even more. I'm also using the heat tool just to speed up the drying time of the ink. I'm also going to use a strip of double-sided foam tape to make my sentiment pop. And then I'm going to attach the sentiment right onto the card front just below the mirror. Now my card is completely finished, but since I didn't want to throw away a golden mirror frame that I've die cut earlier, I decided to create just one more card really quickly. I have created the sentiment exactly the same way, but this time I also used gold mirror cardstock, the same as I used for frame. This card base is also A2 size, and this time instead of creating my own background, I'm going to use one of the papers from the set. I have chosen this paper that is a bit similar to the background that I created myself. All you have to do is just to trim down the piece of paper to the size of your card. I'm actually making it a tiny bit smaller because I like that little border. Now all you have to do is to attach this background onto your card base, and then you have to also stick down the mirror and the sentiment, and that is it. It really takes no time at all to put together a card like this. And this is what my two finished feminine cards look like. Although those cards are really simple to make, they don't look easy because of some nice elements like intricate die cuts and embossed sentiments. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my new collection. The link is in the description below, and don't hesitate to ask any questions. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be seeing you again really soon. Bye bye!